4 pennies, sitting in someone's collection, forgotten, ignored. But what if I told you that one of these tiny copper coins connects directly to World War II battlefields, to melted shell casings, to the exact moment the world changed forever? Today we're going deep on 4 Lincoln Wheat pennies, 1944, 1945, 1951D, and 1957D. And by the end of this video, you're gonna look at old pennies very differently. Stay with me, this gets good. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we talk about coins. Not just their dollar value, but their stories. Because every coin has one, and the Lincoln Wheat Penny series might have the richest stories of any American coin ever made. Today's focus is 4 specific dates from a personal collection. These coins are copper, they're old, and they carry history that most people walk right past every single day. We're talking about the 1944 penny, the 1945 penny, the 1951D, and the 1957D. 4 coins, 4 different moments in American history, and yes, we're going to talk value too, because that's why you're here. Let's start from the beginning. The year is 1944. World War II is still raging. American soldiers are fighting on 2 fronts, Europe and the Pacific. Back home, the entire country is running on rationing, sacrifice, and hope, and the US Mint is doing something unusual. 1 year earlier, in 1943, the government had made a dramatic decision. Copper was desperately needed for war materials, ammunition casings, electrical wiring, military equipment, so the mint pulled copper out of the penny completely and replaced it with zinc-coated steel. Those 1943 steel pennies are famous today. Collectors love them, but by 1944, the supply situation had shifted. The military had a new source of copper available, spent brass shell casings collected from training camps and battlefields. Millions of pounds of used ammunition brass was melted down and sent to the mint, and that metal became the 1944 Lincoln penny. Think about that for a second. The copper in a 1944 penny likely came from bullet and artillery shell casings fired during World War II training or combat operations. This isn't just a coin, it's recycled wartime material pressed into circulation money. The design itself features Victor David Brenner's iconic Lincoln portrait on the obverse, with Liberty to the left, the date below, and In God We Trust along the top. Flip it over, and you see the classic wheat stalks framing 1 cent and United States of America. This reverse design had been on the penny since 1909, the year Abraham Lincoln first appeared on a US coin, marking his 100th birthday. Now let's talk value. A standard 1944 Philadelphia penny in average circulated condition is worth around 15 cents to $1. That doesn't sound exciting, but condition matters enormously with these coins. A well-preserved fine or very fine example can bring $5 to $15. An uncirculated 1944 penny in mint state condition, that can go $50 or higher depending on grade. There are also 3 mint versions of the 1944 penny: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D; and San Francisco, S. The S mint version tends to carry slightly higher collector interest. But here's the coin that makes every collector's jaw drop: the 1944 steel penny. When the mint switched back to copper in 1944, a small number of steel planchets left over from 1943 accidentally got struck with the 1944 dies. These error coins are extraordinarily rare. Only around 30 are known to exist. A genuine 1944 steel penny in any condition can sell for $10,000 to over $100,000 at auction. So if you have a 1944 penny that sticks to a magnet, get it authenticated immediately. That could change your life. For the standard copper 1944 penny, it's a beautiful, historically loaded coin that every collector should have. Affordable, meaningful, and connected to one of the most dramatic periods in human history. If the 1944 penny represents the heat of war, the 1945 penny represents the moment it ended. 1945 is one of the most significant years of the 20th century. In May, Germany surrendered. VE Day, victory in Europe, sent celebrations into the streets across America and allied nations. Then in August, Japan surrendered following the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. VJ Day brought the entire war to a close. Millions of soldiers started coming home. Families were reunited, the world exhaled. And through all of that, the 1945 Lincoln penny was in people's pockets. Imagine the hands this coin passed through. A factory worker in Detroit who had been building tanks all year. A mother in Ohio waiting for her son to come home. A soldier in a Pacific Island base buying a candy bar at the PX store. A child in New York City watching the VJ Day parade from a fire escape. This coin was there for all of it. The 1945 penny continued using the same shell casing copper as 1944. Same design, same weight, same diameter. The mint produced over 1 billion pennies across all 3 facilities that year: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. So these coins are not rare by mintage numbers, but they are deeply historical. In terms of collector value, the 1945 penny sits in a similar range to 1944. Circulated examples go for 15 cents to $1. Better condition pieces bring $5 to $20. Uncirculated examples with strong luster and sharp details can push well above that, especially in higher mint state grades. The 1945 S from San Francisco tends to get slightly more attention from collectors, similar to the 1944 S, but all 3 mint versions are solid coins worth keeping. One thing that makes 1945 pennies interesting to examine is die wear and strike quality. Because the mint was operating at extremely high volume during the war years, some coins show weaker strikes or minor die fatigue. A strongly struck, well-preserved 1945 penny with good luster stands out in a collection. There's also a human angle here that goes beyond dollars. The 1945 penny is a tangible connection to the end of a global conflict that killed over 70 million people. When you hold one, you're holding something that existed in real time as history happened. That context is priceless in a way no price guide can measure. For new collectors, the 1945 penny is an easy recommendation. It's inexpensive, historically rich, and part of a set that tells a compelling wartime story alongside the 1943 steel and 1944 shell casing coins. Now we move into the post-war era. The 1951 D penny comes from Denver, Colorado, and it represents a very different America than the war years. By 1951, the US economy was booming. Soldiers had come home, started families, bought houses in new suburbs, and entered the workforce in huge numbers. The GI Bill had sent millions of veterans to college. Consumer culture was exploding. Television was entering living rooms. The American dream felt real and within reach for a large portion of the population, but 1951 also had a shadow. The Korean War had started in 1950. America was involved in another military conflict, this time on the Korean Peninsula. So while the domestic economy was thriving, there was still tension, still sacrifice, still young Americans in uniform overseas. The 1951 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which you can identify by the small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse. Denver was a major production facility during this era, and the 1951 D had a healthy mintage. Over 625 million coins struck. Because of that high mintage, the 1951 D is not a rare coin. In circulated condition, it trades for 10 to 50 cents. But there's nuance here. Strike quality on Denver coins from this period can vary. A well-struck 1951 D with clean fields and sharp wheat stalks on the reverse is genuinely attractive. Uncirculated examples with original red copper luster are worth $10 to $30 or more, depending on grade. Collectors who build complete wheat penny sets by date and mint marks specifically seek out the 1951 D. It fills a spot in the Denver column of the collection and represents a transitional era. Post-war prosperity mixed with early Cold War anxiety. The wheat penny design itself was still going strong in 1951, having been on the coin for over 40 years at that point. It was familiar, trusted, and deeply American. Nobody knew yet that the design had only about 7 more years left. For anyone starting a wheat penny collection, the 1951 D is a practical and affordable pick. Easy to find, decent eye appeal, and higher grades, and backed by a rich historical context. And now we arrive at the final coin. The 1957 D. This one carries a quiet significance that most casual collectors overlook. The year 1957 was big in world history. The Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, shocking the United States and kicking off the space race. The Cold War was in full tension. American culture was shifting fast. Rock and roll was taking over. Civil rights protests were intensifying, and the country was changing in ways that would define the next decade. But for coin collectors, 1957 means something very specific. It's one of the last years of the wheat penny. The Lincoln wheat penny had been minted continuously since 1909. Nearly 50 years of the same reverse design, 2 stalks of wheat framing the denomination. It was one of the longest running reverse designs in US mint history, and it was coming to an end. In 1958, the mint struck the final wheat pennies. Then in 1959, to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse was redesigned. Out went the wheat stalks. In came the Lincoln Memorial Building. A brand new era began. So the 1957 D sits right at the edge of that transition. It's a late era wheat penny, minted in Denver just 1 year before the final run. That gives it a kind of last chapter energy for collectors who appreciate the full arc of the series. In terms of mintage, the 1957 D was produced in massive numbers. Over 1.05 billion coins. Yes, billion. It's one of the highest mintage wheat pennies ever made. That means circulated examples are very common and worth about 10 to 50 cents. Finding one in pocket change used to be easy, though that's much rarer today. Where the 1957 D gets interesting is in high grades. Because so many were made, finding a truly gem uncirculated example with full red luster and sharp details requires sorting through a lot of coins. A certified MS65 red 1957 D can bring $15 to $40. Higher grades push further up. For a complete wheat penny, typeset, or date and mint collection, the 1957 D is essential. It closes out the Denver column near the end of the series and represents the final chapter of a design that lasted nearly half a century.